Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make the Superman logo. It should be fairly easy to make. If you want to make it, here's what you're going to need. You will need dark blue wool, cyan wool, red, and finally, yellow wool. That's right, you will only be needing those four colours, so once you have those and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'm going to be making it right here. You're going to want to kick this off with two dark blue wool coming up directly from the floor. So 1, 2, like so. What you then want to do is extend this second block here to the left and to the right, each by one, to give you a teeny tiny little T shape. The alliteration is strong. Once you have this little tiny T shape, unfortunately we have to delve into the world of diagonals. But not just regular diagonals. This is worse. So, starting from on top of this left branch of our T, you want to do this. Do one dark blue going up. Then go to the left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 2. 1, 2. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1, left by 1, and up by 2. 1, 2. I can understand how that might get ever so slightly confusing, so I'm just going to show you the shape that we've just made right there. Not the first little initial shape, we don't have too many twists and turns there, but this little section most certainly does. And if you want to check if you have it right, this is what you want to do. So starting from here, where we have where we went up by 2 first initially, count the points on the inside, the corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 corners before we get to the 2 up again, which is exactly right. Just in case you want to make sure that that is the right amount of twists and turns that we have for our Superman logo. So once you've done that, it's now time for us to continue on. So come back up to where we just finished off, this top block right here. We're going to be pretty much doing the exact same thing. So go to the left of this top block by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then, continuing on, I'm sorry guys, I just had to make sure I was doing it right. Then continuing on, go up by 1, then left by 1, and then up by 2. 1, 2. As you can see, it's very tricky, and my plans are well, they're not the best made, so yeah. In all fairness, I made them, so it's my fault, but this is what you want to do for this next little section. And again, if you want to make sure that you have done it 100% right, counting from the top of this row of 2 that we last made, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point, 5 point, 6 point, which is exactly right. So pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, it's now time for us to continue on. So coming back up to where we just left off, right here, this top block, you want to do, you might have guessed it, 1 going left. Then go up by 1. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then go left 1, up 1, left 1, up by 2. 1, 2. Then go to the left by 1. Then up by 3. 1, 2, 3. That wasn't a very long little section, but I want to make sure that you guys are getting this right. Of course, once we've done the first side, the second side becomes quite a lot easier, so pause this if necessary, of course. Continuing on. So coming back up to where we finished off with this row of 4 here, you want to continue on by going right of this top block here by 1. Then go up by 1. Then right by 1. Up 1. Right 1. Up 1. Right 1. Up 1. Right 1. Up 1. Right 1, up 1, right 1, and finally up by 1. You may also want to go to the right of this last block by a few blocks. It doesn't really matter how many, just to mark out where the top of our pixel art is. So this is what you want to have for the upper left hand side of your Superman logo. Pause this if necessary, of course. Again, if you want to make sure that this is actually what you're supposed to have, we're going to count the points on the outside this time. There should be 8 of them in total. So starting from the top of this row of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. That means that we have done it perfectly right. And once you've reached this point right here, you have officially done half of the logo. What we're going to do now, instead of going to the right and building down, we're just going to quite simply build up from the other side. So come back down to where we started off with our little teensy little T here. And what you want to do is pretty much the exact same thing that we have here on the left hand side. It's just going to be a mirror image. So starting from the right hand side of our row of T, go up by 1. Then right by 1. Then up by 1, right by 1, up by 1, right by 1, and finally up by 2. 1, 2, to give you something which should look like this. And we're not going to have to do any counting from here on out. What we're going to do to make sure that we have got this right hand side right is quite simply compare it to the left hand side, which is what I'm doing now. This little section, 100% correct. It matches the left side perfectly, so pause this if necessary. Alright, so continuing on from where we left off, from the top of this row of 3 here, you want to do 1 dark blue going right. Then go up by 1. Then right by 1. Up by 1. Right by 1. Up by 1. Right by 1. Up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, then right 1 and up by 2. 1, 2, to give you something which should look a little bit like this, just to go straight to the comparison for the other side, and as you can see, they seem to line up perfectly. So this is what you want to have for the little section that we've just made there. As always, pause this if necessary, of course. Once you have this, it's time for us to continue on. So coming back up to where we left off with this row of 3 here, going right of this top block, you want to do 1 dark blue. Then go up by 1, right by 1, 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 up by 1, and finally right by 1 and up by 2. 1, 2, to give you something which should look a little bit like this. Pause this if necessary, of course. Before we continue on, actually, we will compare it to the other side just to make sure that we have done it right. And as you may be able to see, that would line up perfectly. It might not look like it exactly, but that's just the perspective. Trust me when I tell you that that lines up perfectly. So once you've reached this point right here, it's now time for us to continue on again. So coming back up to the right hand side with our latest row of 3, going right of this top block, you want to do 1 dark blue. Then go up by 1. Then right by 1, up by 1, right by 1, up by 1, right by 1, up by 2, 1, 2, then do 1 going right, 3 on top, 1, 2, 3 to give you something which should look a little bit like this. I'm not going to compare this to the other side since we really haven't done too much. I can pretty much guarantee that that is exactly right. So, as always, pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, it's now time for us to do the final stretch. So coming up to the top of our row of 4 that we've just formed here, this time you're going to want to go left of this top block with your dark blue by 1. Then go up by 1. Left by 1, up 1, left 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 1, up 1, which should give you something that should look a little bit like this. I was then going to connect both sides together, but I thought that I'd show you this first. So this is what you should have for the upper right hand side of your Superman logo. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've done this, all you have to do to finish off the outline of the logo is take this top block right here and drag it all the way over to the left. That last little stretch is especially easy because all you have to do if you don't want to really count anything out is just extend over that left hand side all the way over to the right and then just do like the left and up ones until you hit the top of the outline, if you know what I'm saying. So multiple ways to do that little part, but ours is the one that doesn't leave any guessing. So this is what you want to have for your Superman logo in its entirety. Have a look at this. Look at that giant diamond. Rihanna would be proud. Once you've reached this point right here, and as always, pause this if necessary, of course, it's now time for us to do some colouring in. There's no waiting about here. So once you do have the giant outline, and you want to make sure that it all connects perfectly, it all looks proper, which it does, it's time for us to continue. So come back down to where we first started off with this little tiny T here. On top of this middle block of our T, you want to take out your red wool and you want to do a row of 4 going directly up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then take out your cyan wool and do a single cyan. Then you want to do 6 up left diagonals from your cyan, but you also want to do 6 upright diagonals from your cyan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and from the right hand side as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to give you something which should look a little bit like this, a big giant V shape. So what you want to do once you have got your V shape is just connect these 2 top blocks together that we have on the left and right hand side, the 2 6th blocks together with a row of cyan in the middle between them, like this. Very simple indeed, very simple shape. Later on, we're going to be filling that little shape that we've just made, the upside down triangle, we're going to be filling that in with yellow wool, but there's no point in doing it on recording, so pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, it's time for us to continue on. So, continuing on, come up to the top right-hand side of the shape that you've just made out of cyan. Starting from this right end block here, you want to do 2 red wool coming directly up from it. So 1, 2, like so. Then place a single cyan on top of the second red wool. Then go left of that cyan block by 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then go up on top of this 8th block by 1. Then go left by 2, 1, 2. Then do an up left diagonal. And go left of that diagonal by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then do 2 up left diagonals, so 1 and 2. On top of the second up left diagonal, you want to go up by 2, 1, 2. Extend out those 2 blocks right there, both to the left and to the right, each by 1 to give you a big chunky T shape, like this. Or I suppose it's more hammer shaped, like a really short handled hammer. Regardless, once you've formed this little shape, this is what you want to do. Starting from the bottom right hand corner of your hammer, this block right here, you want to do a row of 14 cyan going right, that's 14, 1, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Then go down from the 14th block by 1. Then go right by 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then go down by 1. Then right by 1. Then down by 2, 1, 2. Then go left by 2, 1, 2. And finish this shape off by doing a single cyan wall going down by 1, which should connect perfectly back to where we've just started and give you a shape which should look in total exactly like this. So pause that if necessary, of course. Once you're finished with that, it's now time for us to move on to the rest of our logo. Come up to the upper left hand side of the outline. The block that you're looking for is this one right here. It should be quite easy to find as there is only one row of 4 on the outer sides. Once you've located this block, this is what you want to do. You want to go right of it with your red by 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then do a single cyan wall, still going right. You then want to do 5 upright diagonals from your cyan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You want to go up on top of this 5th upright diagonal by 1. Then go right by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like so. What you then want to do is extend down these 2 blocks right here. I'm not going to try and explain the positioning of these 2 blocks, but you want to extend these 2 down right here, like so. Then, coming down from the left block that you've just placed, you want to do 1 cyan. Then go to the left by 1. Then down by 1. Then left by 1. Then down by 2, 1, 2. Then left by 1. Then down by 2, 1, 2. Then go left by 1. And go down again by 2, 1, 2. And what you want to do once you've formed this shape right here, just to show you, what you then want to do with this final row of 3, going left of this middle block, you just want to do a single cyan. And then do an up left diagonal, which should connect back perfectly to the start of our shape and give you something which should look a little bit like this. Once you've done that, and as always, pause this if necessary of course, it's now time for us to continue on once again. So come up to the top right hand side of the shape that you've just formed, this little cyan wall by its lonesome. Take out your red wall and go right of this block by 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once you've done your row of 5 with your red, you then want to take out your cyan wall and continuing going right, you want to do a further 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You then want to go down from this 5th block by 1. Then go right by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal. Go right 1 and go down 1. Then do another bottom right diagonal and go down by 2, 1, 2. You then want to go right of this bottom block by 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then go up on top of this 8th block by 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You then want to extend out this top block to the right by 1, but you want to extend the block just below it, this one right here, to the right by 2. So 1, 2. Then from this second block going right, you then want to go down by 1. Then right by 2, 1, 2. Then go down by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go down by 1. Then left by 1. Then down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, and then left by 2, 1, 2, to give you something which should look a little bit like this. Once you've done that, pause that if necessary of course, it's time for us to continue on. So first of all, you just want to place a single cyan wool underneath this row of 3 that we had formed right here. But once you've done that, you then want to come back to this left hand block and you want to place a single cyan on top of it. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 1. Then left by 2, 1, 2. Then do another up left diagonal. And go left by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do another up left diagonal. And go left by 9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then go up by 1. Then left by 1. Then go up by 1. Do an up left diagonal. Followed by an upright diagonal. Go up on top of the upright diagonal by 1. Then go right 1. Then up 1. And then right by 2. 1, 2 to give you something which should in total piece together to look a little something like this. Pause this if necessary of course. Once you've done this, we just have one little bit left to do and then we get to do some colouring in. Make sure that you've got that right. Let's move on to the final part. So you want to locate this block right here, or more so this block, of what we've just made. You should find that quite easy. So once you've located this block right here, you want to place a single red wool on top of it. And then go right of that red wool by 3, so 1, 2, 3. You then want to do a single cyan wool going right, like this. Then you want to do 2 up left diagonals coming from the single cyan, so 1 and 2. Place a single cyan on top of the second up left diagonal. Then go right of it by 3, so 1, 2, 3. Then go down by 2, 1, 2, to give you something which should, in total, look exactly like this. And that was the final touch to our logo. That is the cherry on the cake. So just to show you in total what you want to have so far, this is it. Pause this if necessary, of course. Make sure that you've got that right, because once you have, it's now time for us to do quite a bit of colouring in. So what I'm going to go away and do is fill every single cyan area in with yellow wool, and then I'm going to fill everything else in with red, and then we'll have our finished Superman logo. So I'm going to be back once I've coloured this in. It's going to take a little while. So this is what it should look like once you have 100% completely coloured in your Superman logo. And as I said, all you have to do to colour this in, very simple. Colour in the cyan areas in with yellow wool and colour everything else in with red. It is that easy, and this is what it should come out looking like. It's looking pretty nice if you ask me. Very heroic. Once you've reached this point in the video right here, I unfortunately don't have anything left to show you. Everything has been wrapped up. There is nothing left for me to do, so hopefully you guys had an easy enough time following this. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.